and also use one of the translated language. For photographers, I'll ask you to take pictures for the first 5 minutes, and then we'll ask you to stop. Finally, for everybody, please mute your phone and turn off the hotspot. Now it's time to start with the questions. Gentleman in the back here.
Oui, bonjour Hugo, François Verdenay, l'équipe.
Good morning, François Verdenay,
l'Angleterre,
l'équipe.
bien sûr, un pays que vous connaissez bien. Est-ce que
Of
vous
course, you know
avez
England very well.
travaillé, donné des conseils, particulièrement à vos
Have
coéquipiers sur
you
les
given
coups de pied arrêtés,
advice
qui
to your
sera un des enjeux de
teammates
ce match?
about the English players, particularly about set pieces, which will be one of the key points in this match?
Je crois que les Anglais sont reconnus partout dans le monde, de
Of course, the English
grâce à la Première Ligue.
are well known all over the world, thanks to their Premier League, thanks to their clubs, which are very well known in European competitions. And most of our players know them very well. We're quite used to playing against them. For some of us, of course, we play with them and train with them on a daily basis. And if we can help our teammates with any particular knowledge that we have about them, then of course we do them. We do that. And on set pieces, yes, that's one of their strengths. They're very tall and they have some good players who take good free kicks. I think every little detail is going to count in this match. So that's why set pieces are very important. So we're going to have to be very strong, but in terms of our attack, we also have what it takes to make it difficult for them. But yes, that's one of the aspects of the match where we're going to have to be strong. I'm from Sud-Ouest. A lot has been said to MBAPPE this week after his match and his duel with Kyle Walker. Do you think he can make the difference, or do you think we overplayed that aspect? No, I think Kylian is preparing very well. He's trying to ignore a lot of the talk about him. It's really not something he needs. He is very focused on his objectives, individually and collectively. He seems very happy, he's playing with a smile on his face, and he seems very focused on the match ahead of us. And that's how he's looked since the very beginning of this tournament. Good morning, I'm a journalist from Tunisia, and I have a question in Arabic.
Regarding the goalkeeper, the Moroccan goalkeeper, Bono, how do you assess his performance? Do you think he is one of the elite goalkeepers we are seeing nowadays?
Yes, I knew him already before this World Cup because of his performance in Spain with Sevilla. And yes, I do think that he's one of the best goalkeepers in this tournament. And he was decisive in the match against Spain. And it's thanks to him that they've managed to get through to the next round. And I'm sure that he will continue to show that he's one of the best goalkeepers around. And that's one of the great things about a World Cup. It gives the opportunity to see players that may play in less well-known teams and leagues, but are among the most talented players in the world. Good morning, Baptiste Defray, Le Figaro. How do you see the rivalry between France and England? And you've been playing in England for a long time now. What's most English about you?
Mes deux enfants, mes deux derniers, qui sont
my two last children who were born in England, my daughters who were growing up in England, in a French school, in an English school, but with a French education, if you like, from their family. But yes, there is a rivalry between England and France, and there has been for some time. They're two major footballing nations. But you see that rivalry as well in other sports like rugby. And since we're here at the World Cup, we know that they are two very strong teams. So that clearly leads to great matches. And at the World Cup, France-England is always a special match. But as players, we need to make sure that we are up to a quarterfinal of the World Cup, whoever we're playing. We are doing everything we can to make sure that we are ready. But obviously, England is also an ambitious country. They've come here to win the World Cup. And so it's going to be a very tough game, and that's the type of game that we all love. So it's up to us to do what we can to win this game.
For the photographers, please stop. Thank you. Next question.
Hi, Hugo. Sorry, Hugo, over here. David McDonald from the Daily Mirror. Question in English. Many of the French team, yourself included, have been here before, obviously winning the World Cup 4 years ago. From your experience, how much of an advantage does that give you over England mentally in terms of having been there and knowing what it takes to get the job done?
To be honest with you, if we compare both sides, there were more English players at the World Cup in Russia than French players. And if you look at the English squad, there were semi-finalists at the World Cup. They were runner-up at the last Euro, and there is a real progression. And I believe that this team is getting mature and ready to compete for trophies. No, they were a bit unlucky at the last Euro. They came very close, but they are here to win. No, in our side. There was a lot of changes with a new generation of players who are ready to compete because they are all playing best team, best club in Europe. But we have a good mixture between experienced players and young players, and we try to develop ourselves to become stronger step by step, and we have to make sure that we will be ready to challenge England on Saturday because. It's going to be a big battle. So there is everything for a big game, and now it's up to the players to perform.
Bonjour Hugo, Damien ici.
A question from L'Équipe. You know that in England sometimes refereeing is slightly different, and they allow more physical challenges on goalkeepers. And do you think you're going to have to show a different face when it comes to set pieces than you would usually because of that aspect? The British media seem to have identified you as one of the weak points in the French team. What would you reply to them? No, I have nothing to tell them in a press conference. I have no message for the English media. I'll do my talking on the pitch. And we have to ignore that type of talk. We don't need any extra motivation from outside to play the quarterfinals of the World Cup. But having said that, they have their views, and I respect them. And we're going to have to do our talking on the pitch. On set pieces, yes, it is different in England. Refereeing is slightly different when it comes to set pieces. There are more physical challenges in the English league than in other European leagues, and they don't necessarily get blown up for a foul. But generally speaking, the English players are very honest in these challenges, and sometimes the goalkeeper can be blocked off, and there can be fouls on the goalkeeper, which sometimes are given. And we just have to adapt to different contexts, and that's what I've done throughout my career. And things are very different when you get to European matches compared to the English league. So yes, it's a factor that you could take into account, but you shouldn't overemphasize it. You need to make the right choices on the pitch, and set pieces will be important, and we'll have to be up to the challenge.
From the Daily Telegraph in English, please.
when you're at Tottenham, have you saved Harry Kane's penalties in training? And if it does go to penalties, with your analysis, would you know where the England players would be placing their penalties?
Well, you know, better than me, Harry has the ability to shoot anywhere. So it can be on my right, on my left, in the middle. He's one of the best probably on this aspect of the game, but obviously for Harry or the other English players, there will be an analysis on penalties, but then it's all about feeling, all about instinct that you get during the match, no? So. But before to arrive on the penalty shootout, there is the time to make the difference on the pitch, but we'll see because it will be a tough game. It will be a big game, and anything can become decisive for both teams. So we have to be ready for any scenario.
Bonjour Hugo, Vincent Romain à Sud-Ouest. Est-ce que tu
Good morning, Vincent Romain, Sud-Ouest. Can you talk about your performances since the beginning of this World Cup? How do you see the way you're playing? And your game with the ball, playing the ball out from the back, it looks like you've been taking a few risks. Well, that's not up to me to judge. You might have different views about that. But the most important thing is to try to play to the best of your abilities and to help the team when it needs your help, and to try and be decisive when you can. In terms of my kicking, every team is trying to put the goalkeeper under pressure when they have the ball at their feet. But that's also what France is trying to do. Teams are trying to press the opponents, try to put them under difficulty, and sometimes you have to make tough choices, and you don't always make the right ones when you have the ball at your feet. But at this stage in the tournament, you need to try and be as perfect as you can, so that you don't put your team under any unnecessary difficulty. So I hope that replies your question. I'm not sure it has. Good morning. Morning, Brahimi, RMC. Can you talk about your relationship with Harry Kane? What does he represent for you? And how do you prepare to face him in the quarterfinals of the World Cup? And that's someone that you are very close to on a daily basis. We have a very strong relationship. We've been playing together for about 9 years now, so we know each other very well, both on and off the pitch. And I only have positive things to say about Harry. He's a very important player for the team, for the club, and indeed for the England team as well. He's a real leader. He is an example for his teammates, and he's a top player. He's been decisive for his club, and very often he makes the difference. And like all of the players on Saturday, every player is going to be determined to try and get their team through to the next round. Harry's someone who's known all over the world, so I don't think I can really add too much to what's already known. But he'll be an opponent, and we'll both be representing our countries. And so I'm sure that our focus will be on that.
Next question will be for gentleman here.
Nigel Adley from TalkSport. Question in English, please. How much responsibility do you feel you have as a senior player in the French squad to maybe help the younger players through the preparation in a game like this?
For most of them, they play in the best team in Europe, so they know how to deal with the pressure. But as you say, there is some players who were involved the last few important competitions. They were involved on the last World Cup, and we can obviously lead these players. We can help them, to talk about details. But they are ready for that type of games. They are all excited to face one of the best nations of the world, and I think we are all ready for that. It's a quarterfinal of the World Cup. It's a huge event, and we know what it means for the players, for the fans, for our nation, and we really want to push forward and to go to the next stage. But the same case for English players. So again, there is no much to say because it's a big game, and it's all about what is going to happen on the field.
Thank you, Hugo. Merci. Now we're going to welcome the coach, Didier Deschamps.
J'ai le ballon aujourd'hui.
Question for the coach. So, gentleman here, black shirt. No, third row.
Bonjour Didier, Julien Babou, M6.
Good morning, Julien Baboué, M6. We haven't seen you for a while. How are you? Did you miss me? We're looking forward to the match at any rate. And are your team looking forward to the match? They seem to be very calm. Do you think they're ready to explode tomorrow? No, that's not the right term. They are calm. They're remaining very serene. And that's true since the beginning of this tournament. Of course, you have to focus on each match as it comes, and we're now in the quarterfinals, so there's no point being too stressed about it, putting yourself under pressure. You need to enjoy it. Of course, our objective is to get through to the semi-finals. Good morning, Antoine Montmenier for AFP. Jules Koundé and Aurélien Tchouameni have already had a yellow card in this tournament, so how to manage that as a coach? Do you need to talk with them a little bit more, or do you not talk about it, try and not put them under pressure? What do you say to them before a match like this? They know. So the most important thing is to just say, be careful. But you're not expecting them to play at half pace with the handbrake on. We're at an important stage in the tournament now. So they're going to have to dig deep and give everything to help win the match. So we're not expecting to play with the handbrake on. I think that would be the worst thing to do. But it's not always easy to manage that as a player. Good morning, Didier. To your left, at the back. Radio France. A question in French. And I'll answer you in French. We've talked a lot about the speed of French players and English players. Does pace represent one of the keys to this match? Not just on the wings, but also in the transitional phases. Is that going to be one of the keys to the match? It's often one of the keys to a match, because when you're quick, then your opponent has less time to get organized. You need more than just pace to score goals. You can stop a lot of things, but it's very difficult to stop someone who's very quick, especially in those transitions. But the England team is very strong in the front half of their goals have been scored in that way, with quick counterattacks. So that's one of their qualities. But they also have other qualities, many of them, in terms of their technical ability, their capacity to score goals, to be dangerous on set pieces. So it's no chance that they are facing us in the quarterfinals. Good morning, Europe 1. England think that one of the weak points of the French team is Hugo Lloris. What's one of their weak points? They don't have any.
Si vous me parlez des médias anglais, s'il pose joueur anglais, ce que vous pouvez dire, je sais pas ce que vous dites d'ailleurs.
So you talk about the British media, but you also ask some tough questions sometimes of the team. But all teams have strengths. Not all of them have too many weaknesses, but some slightly less strong points, if you like.
Notre troisième match, il n'a pas dû beaucoup lui servir. Mais
they've had the opportunity to see us play in 4 matches as well, even though the third match wasn't very useful, perhaps, for them. But different players have different abilities, and afterwards, at the end of the day, you also need to make slight changes here and there, try to identify the slight weaknesses of your opponents, areas where you think you can work on and attack them.
Ask photographer to leave the room, please.
C'est quoi là?
Non,
Hein? Vidéo? Non? Ah, pardon, j'ai rien compris, c'est pas grave. Ah oui. Salut.
Goodbye.
Didier, bonjour.
Good morning, Didier. Louis Vic, InfoSport Canal.
Est-ce que vous avez coché toutes les cases que vous vouliez cocher cette semaine?
Have you ticked all the boxes that you wanted to tick this week in terms of your preparation in training and on set pieces? And how do you explain that set pieces was one of your strengths in 2018 in terms of your defense and your attack, but this year it seems to be one of your weaknesses? I don't agree with you. But I'm not here to tick boxes. We've had to focus on certain things, and if you need to focus on certain aspects of the game where you think you can make a difference, then that's something I add to training sessions.
Même si on a été certainement
we were perhaps stronger on set pieces in other years, but we can still show that we are dangerous on set pieces. And I think we're stronger in certain areas. And it remains one of the strengths of the England team because they've scored quite a few goals on set pieces. Good morning, Didier. Le Parisien. Right in the middle. Are you overly dependent on Mbappé? And if so, what if he doesn't play very well? How will you go about the match? I'm sure England will have prepared to face Kylian, as our previous opponents did. But Kylian is in a position to make the difference. Even in the last match, when he didn't have his best match, he didn't show his top form compared to previous games, he was still decisive. And we have other players that can be dangerous as well, and that helps us be over-dependent on Kylian. But Kylian is Kylian, and he always will be. And he has that capacity to make the difference at any moment in the match. Good morning, Didier. Charlotte Harper.
The Athletic rapporté mercredi qu'un travailleur.
The Athletic reported on Wednesday that a migrant worker called Alex passed away in a training camp during the group stage. What do you think about that? And then secondly, your federation has said that it supported a compensation fund for migrant workers. To what extent is it important to continue that conversation now and after the tournament?
Écoutez, c'est toujours un sujet sensible.
Well, it's always a sensitive topic, and it's not something that I want to talk about at length. I've just learned about it, and I would like to express my sincere condolences to the family and on behalf of the Federation. But I know it may be a priority for you today, but actually my priority today is the match tomorrow. We're involved in a tournament here, and now that doesn't mean we're not totally insensitive to what goes on outside the football, but you shouldn't mix everything up. The French players, as you know, took certain decisions, and I know that you asked the question to one of my players. I'm not sure it was you actually, but maybe one of your colleagues. But that's you're right. But what else would you like me to say? You've asked the question, but you basically knew what I was going to reply. Now, I'm not trying to avoid the question, but I'm here with my team, and we are footballers, and we're here for a football tournament. And footballers, unfortunately, are not in a position to resolve problems outside football necessarily. And this is more than a problem, of course. It's someone who's lost their lives. And we need to respect that. But it's not necessarily going to help by talking about him. Some might think that talking about him is a way of showing respect, but I think for his family and the pain and suffering that they must be feeling, that needs to be respected too. Sébastien Tarago, I don't think we're going to need the translation for this question. Occasionally we do. I don't always understand you very well.
Non, le problème, c'est que tu les entends pas, tu les écoutes pas. Mais c'est bien quand
you don't understand my you don't listen properly to what I'm saying. That's your problem. You don't need a translator.
Oui, vas-y.
Noël Le Graët a déclaré au Figaro.
Noël Le Graët said to Figaro that he wanted your contract to be extended, whatever the outcome of this tournament. Are you pleased with that? Yes, I am. And secondly, I'm happy about it too. Don't worry about that. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. Okay, please go ahead with your question. And secondly, if he offered you a new contract, would you say yes? So you're asking me that question now? Well, I mean, it's very kind what he said about me, but my only priority now is to focus on this quarter-final match and getting through to the semi-finals. So that doesn't really reply to your question, but that's my reply.
Hello, Mark Irwin from The Sun in England. Can I just ask you about Gareth Southgate and the job you think he's done for England, bearing in mind he wasn't known as a great player like yourself, the job that you think he's doing for England?
Gareth est quelqu'un que j'apprécie parce qu'on a eu à se croiser
very much like Gareth. We've met on a number of occasions and we've talked about a number of things. And if I've understood correctly, not everyone appreciates him so much in his own country. That isn't because he wasn't a good footballer himself. He had a long and distinguished career. And he's also a very good coach. And he's enabled England to get some very good results over the years. And I very much like him. I very much like him. Auredine Bouzine, Al Jazeera. Good morning, Coach. This is a match between England and France, and generally speaking, these matches are very special. We don't actually meet very often. But this is a knockout game. So how is that different in terms of your approach to a match if it's a knockout match? Well, it's the same for England, and it's the same for all of the teams who were lucky enough to get through to this stage in the tournament. It's a winner-takes-all match. One of us is going to be happy, one of us is going to be going home. And the further you go in the tournament, the more you meet top sides, and so games become more and more demanding. And they're more and more exciting as well. Many of my players, I'm sure, dreamed about this moment. They wanted to get this far in the tournament, but they want to go further. And I'm not trying to put too much pressure on them. It's a wonderful opportunity to be able to play in a World Cup quarter-final. But you need to go out there and show what you're capable of. You need to play and dig deep to try and get through to the next round. Thank you, Didier.
France's training session will be tonight at 6 p.m. at the training camp, open 15 minutes to the media. Thank you.
À ce soir.